Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and in today's video I am going to be rating and drawing with the Arrtx acrylic markers. No, this video is not sponsored by Arrtx, but I just wanted to give an honest review on the 36 colors acrylic marker set. If I remember correctly, I got these markers for around $30. I think there was a deal going on at the time, so they were a little bit less expensive than they normally are. The first thing you see when you open up the box of markers is the thank you card and the stickers. So the first thing I noticed was that I am not a huge fan of having to put the stickers on each one, especially because if you get the markers out of order, then the sticker swatches, the colors on the stickers are not going to match. So when you first open the box, you need to immediately put the stickers on, and in this video, I did put the stickers on in a very odd way, and after watching other people's review videos on this, I realized that and ended up changing the stickers, so it will get fixed later. I'm sorry about that in advance. So I've seen other artists color on the thank you card that they received from Arrtx, and I thought this was super cute. So I had already planned out the sketchbook page, like the theme I was going for, and I tried to match this thank you card to it. I was super nervous about using these markers because I feel like other artists can do such a better job using them than I can, and I know that it was going to take a learning curve to figure out how to use them, but I honestly had a lot of fun doing the drawings in my sketchbook and on this thank you card. I do think that some of the lighter colors of markers are not as opaque as I would have liked. Like the white one is pretty see-through. I end up using it towards the end on this card, but it's not as opaque as I was hoping it to be. I do really like that if I make a mistake, like here I used a teal color, but I didn't end up really liking it because I knew I was going to color the background blue, that I'm able to go over that same spot and you can't even tell, whereas if you were using alcohol markers, you would be able to tell and you wouldn't be able to completely cover it up. I think the Illo sketchbook paper was really good for these markers because it's not super grainy and it doesn't absorb a lot. It's more of like a plasticky texture, so the markers were able to glide across it and not use a whole bunch of ink in the process. I am interested to see how long these markers will last before they dry out, because some of the ones I got were a little bit on the drier side and didn't glide as easily across the paper, but I'm wondering how long they will last compared to other acrylic markers. One other thing I was disappointed in is in this set, there was two orange colors that were so similar that you couldn't really tell a difference in the two, and I just wish that they would not have included them together in one set and had a little bit of a darker or lighter shade of this orange. I honestly think this light green color is one of my favorites out of the set. Besides the blue color that I choose to color in the background, that is by far my favorite. And I just feel like they are very light pastel colors, and I really like how the purple and the green look together. I sketched everything out with a colored pencil, and the thing that was the most daunting about these markers is the fact that they cover up colored pencils so easily. I was worried that I would be covering up like sketch lines that I really needed to see through, like you can with alcohol markers. But I think the thing to remember is you can always color in and not color on the outline that you're needing so that there's a little bit of white, and then go back in with another color. I'm obviously not a pro when using these markers, and I definitely need more practice with them to gain more confidence, but I don't think the stuff that I made today turned out super bad. And I didn't want to leave any white on this thank you card, so I ended up filling in the background with this purpley blue color that's by far my favorite. I think I was also intimidated because I didn't have a lot of colors to choose from, and I knew I would have to be choosing colors that I wasn't necessarily comfortable with using. But this is just pushing me out of my comfort zone, and I'm learning a new media, so I wasn't too sad about it. And I think I had a lot of fun doing this, so that was more important to me than creating just an amazing piece of art. I don't think these markers are very great for any type of detail work, like really fine details. I think a liner should be used instead, but in this case, for what I'm using it for, it worked out great. So when I was coloring in the background, I accidentally covered a little bit of the coral, the purple coral. So I just went back in with those two purple colors to make it stand out more and not look as muddied, and I think it worked out really well. I thought there was too much blank space on the right side of this card, so I decided to add some bubbles just to fill up that space. So I started off with my white jelly roll pen before I realized that I actually had a white acrylic marker, but the acrylic marker was kind of blending into whatever color I layered it on and just made it look a lighter color of that version. So I don't know if this is for all the sets or just mine, but I wasn't a huge fan of the white marker. And I still felt like this card needed a little bit more, so I ended up adding just a very rough border around, and I know it's not super even, but I liked how it looked. So here's the finished card, and I made a perfect space for it in the sketchbook spread. As you can see, I already sketched out what I wanted to do, and I just left the coloring to be done. I find that animals are one of my comfort things to draw because often that is what I start drawing when I'm starting to get into art block. And I don't know if this is because I just draw them better than other things, but I tend to draw them more often. So with alcohol markers, you normally start off with the lightest color and then move to the darkest. And I guess it was just such a habit that I started doing that with these acrylic markers. So I started coloring in the beak first because that's what had the most color and what I was confident in coloring because I knew that I had orange colors. So I didn't have to try to find different colors to imitate others. I know that was probably a really confusing sentence, but you'll get what I mean when I start coloring in the feathers on this crane because they're not necessarily what the reference looks like, but it's what I chose colors to be for the bird. I think by choosing a really colorful reference, it also helped too because I had a lot of different colors and I didn't have a whole bunch of neutrals, so I tried to step out of my comfort zone and use colors in areas that I normally wouldn't. I wanted to stay away from using black in the actual bird picture. I ended up using it for a background later on, but I just wanted to limit myself to using it on the actual bird, so I tried to grab darker grays, purples, and things like that to outline and add detail. I think it's also a good idea when using a new medium, you draw what you are comfortable with drawing so that you already don't feel like you're one step down by drawing something that's already out of your comfort zone and then using a material that you haven't used before because a lot of times it doesn't turn out the best if you do that. So I used this brown color for most of the crane because I just really liked how it looked and it almost looked like a gray brown. So I didn't add too much details on the feathers because again, I'm using an acrylic marker. And I found when I was coloring this in that it was a little bit streakier than I would have liked. But thankfully, because this is a bird, it looked like feathers, so I was fine with it. But if you're wanting something to lay super flat, I'm wondering if it's just this color because I had certain colors that would do really good and wouldn't be streaky at all, and then I had colors like this one that did look pretty streaky. So these are pretty affordable because there are 36 markers and I ended up only paying around 30. So that's less than $1 per marker. So I think they are pretty affordable. I would probably compare them affordability wise to a Hoo markers, maybe even better. So I'm pretty happy with what I got for that price. The only reason it took me so long to get these markers is because I was afraid I wouldn't like them as much as other artists, or I wouldn't be able to use them as well as others. And I know that shouldn't be the reason that's holding me back, but it was for a long time. And I had finally seen so many videos that I just wanted to try them, so I ended up getting them off of Amazon. If you're looking for markers that you want to do a lot of blending work in, I wouldn't recommend these ones. But if you're looking for kind of a gouache or acrylic paint look, I definitely would recommend these because I feel like you can get more detail with these markers than you can with a paintbrush. But I still feel like if you're looking for really detailed work, then you should probably use more fine liners and colored pencils for details. As you'll see throughout this video, I do make some mistakes on picking colors that I don't really like in certain areas. Like there's this orange that I put on the wing that I just feel like it doesn't match very well, but I'm able to cover that up with other colors of this marker that are opaque. The reason I really didn't like this orangey red right here is because I feel like it wasn't really matching the color scheme I was going for. So I tried to use more purpley blues on the wing instead of the red. The main learning curve I faced with these markers was the fact that I'm not going to have or be able to blend all the colors that I need for a reference. So I'm just going to have to use the colors that I do have and interpret the photo differently. I do like that my set included a lot of skin tones, so I will definitely be using these for later pictures when I'm practicing drawing people. So for the feathers, I just did a lot of really quick, fast brush strokes on the paper, not really looking to put in too much detail, but to get the idea of feathers. I used a lot of browns and looked where it was lighter on my reference, and it was darker towards the bottom of the crane's stomach, so I was trying to use my darker browns there and lead into the lighter brown. I did have to go over some areas more than once because I felt like the colors were getting too muddy, and especially with the main brown color that I was using, I wanted the feathers to look like they were on top of the other ones, so I just went back over them. And here is where I absolutely messed up this picture. So I put black down like I said I wasn't going to, and when I realized I really didn't like how it was going to look, I tried to just wipe it off with my finger, and it ended up smudging things everywhere. So I went back in with a really dark pinky purple and tried to hide where I messed up with all the black, and then I filled it in with more blue, and I think I ultimately fixed it. Thankfully, these markers can cover up a lot, so I am glad that that is one of the things that they can do because I feel like I make a lot of mistakes, so it's easy to fix them. I didn't know what color I wanted to color in the fish. I was thinking either a green or a purple, but then I started thinking some more and I was like, how often are fish colored green and purple? So I decided on doing this reddish orange color, and I kind of just wish I would have done the green or the purple because I feel like the reddish orange just blends in too much with the beak. I tried to fix that by adding a little bit more brown to the fish at the end, but I just don't feel like it turned out how I was hoping it would. I do think these markers are good for their price, and I think the learning curve is not that steep, so if you do get these markers, you'll be able to learn how to use them very quickly, because I did, and normally it takes me forever to learn how to use a new art supply. So I would definitely recommend it to artists. I don't know if I would recommend it to beginner artists, but I would probably recommend it to intermediate artists, just because it does take a little bit of knowing color theory and stuff like that to make a piece that you're happy with. Or if you're like me, you just keep putting colors down till you're happy with it. So I absolutely loved this maroon color as an outline. I feel like it made the crane look really good. But on to the next drawing on this page. I did a crab, and this one definitely did not turn out as well as the crane did. I wasn't super happy with the end results on this one, and I think it's because I tried to use the oranges together, and because they are so similar, it just looked like the same color, and I wasn't able to get a lot of contrast, so I wasn't super happy with the end result. I also feel like I tried to keep the crab's colors very similar to the reference, which is not what I did for the crane. For the crane, I just used a lot of crazy colors, and I wish I would have done that with this crab, because I feel like it would have turned out a lot better had I done that instead of just trying to keep to the reds and the oranges and the tans. Overall, these markers are pretty good, and I do understand the hype now, and I'm very glad that I ended up getting them after watching so many artists use them, because I am actually really happy with how the crane turned out, and I just think it's an awesome medium to use. But yeah, I'm going to let y'all watch the rest of this process of me coloring in this crab, and I'll be back towards the end. This is the finished product. I added a black background to both the pictures and then added the pink. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.